Hey everyone, does it feel like Christmas today? I think it's Christmas in March because Drew Dalman is now a Chicago Bear, but he chose the Chicago Bears for a crazy reason. And this is what I want to talk about primarily. And the reason that the reason that this crazy reason is crazy is because it's something that we're not used to. You see, Drew Dalman chose the Chicago Bears even though he was offered more money from other teams. And the reason is that he wants to be here. He wants to be here at Hallis Hall, something we're not used to hearing. But regardless, it's fantastic news. More on that in just a minute. It was a decision that was expected. Drew Dalman's been linked to Soldier Field all offseason. We expected him to come here. It was a deal that absolutely needed to be done. And his signing was widely expected. But it's great to see it finally finalized. And let me kind of get into this. And this report is actually from CBS's Jonathan Jones. He reported that Dalman turned down more money from other teams because he specifically wanted to be here. We're looking at the 26-year-old. He chose to actually take less money because he wanted to play for Ben Johnson. He wanted to be a part of what Chicago is building here. And he wanted to block for former 2024 first-round pick Caleb Williams. So the Bears responded. They made Dalman the NFL's second highest paid center. That signals his value to GM Ryan Poles. It signals what Ryan Poles' long-term vision is. That's to protect Caleb Williams, and it's to do so with a veteran center, along with these other two signings at guard that we've already covered previously in the offseason. So we're looking at 3 years, $42 million, an average of about 14 per, 28 guaranteed, the second highest paid center in the league. But it didn't reset the market with crazy money. And this is a pattern that GM Ryan Poles is showing. And we're looking at Dalman, kind of a little bit of history on him. A fourth-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons. He was graded as the league's fourth highest graded center last year, and that's a 78.8 PFF offensive grade. And this is after allowing only 2 sacks and only 10 quarterback pressures in 9 games last season. And this was while he was battling through an ankle injury. He is all healed and good to go. And this is just a huge move, right? The Bears are continuing to reinforce Caleb Williams' offensive line. Took 68 sacks as a rookie. That is never going to happen again because along with Dalman, we traded for Rams right guard Jonah Jackson earlier this month. Another huge splash, and I think this was the best signing. This was a better signing than Dalman. We're talking about Joe Thuney. And we got him from Kansas City in exchange for only a 2026 fourth-round pick. One of the best guards in the whole NFL, and plus a guy that's going to revamp this locker room as well. And we're looking at Ben Johnson. He is just doing major work. And this rebuild just continued today. NFL's free agency legal tampering period. It's kind of crazy that these guys aren't talking to agents. These guys aren't talking to teams, but somehow these deals are getting done very, very quickly. The second that the legal tampering period has started, it's just kind of funny to me, but I'm just going to move on. $28 million guaranteed. He's been one of the league's most consistent centers his whole career, most recently last year grading out as the 4th best center in the league. So let's kind of look at this offensive line now, and this is really eye-opening. So now we have at left tackle Braxton Jones. We have Drew Dalman now at center. We have 2 new right guards and former Pro Bowlers. We've got Jonah Jackson at right guard, and we've got Thuney at left guard. We've got right tackle Darnell Wright, who's just shaping up into being one of the best tackles in the whole league. And then we're kind of looking at this offseason. I mean, it's worthwhile to just talk it through just so it sinks in. Sorry, you guys. I'm excited. This is a great day. We've got the most sought-after head coach in the last 5 or 10 years in Ben Johnson. We traded a 4th-rounder for an all-pro left guard in Thuney. We got a versatile offensive lineman in Jackson. And you can talk about how he flamed out with L.A., but if you go back and see his work in Detroit under Ben Johnson, stellar, had a Pro Bowl year, his only second year in the league. He came into the Rams with an injury issue. They waited until the very end of camp during the preseason to actually take him out of his guard position that they signed him for. They plugged him in at center. It just didn't work out so well, and he was doing okay. He got injured. They had a rookie that elevated in. They just got really good chemistry on the offensive line. When he came in, it just didn't work out. And I think bringing him to Chicago on a really reasonable deal and asking him to go back into his original position under his original head coach in Ben Johnson. He was offensive coordinator, but you get it. Under the original scheme, under the original guy's tutelage, back in his natural position, I think that's going to grade out as an absolutely fantastic move. And now we've got, and keep in mind too, Jackson does have the versatility to play guard or center. Only costs us a 6th-round pick. After this year, the money is not guaranteed. So if it ends up being a mistake, doesn't kill our cap, doesn't give us a ton of dead cap money. Just a really good, shrewd move. Now we did the same thing that we did with Ben Johnson. There was a lot of talk, do we want to pay up for Ben Johnson? There's a lot of talk, do we want Dalman? Do we need to get the number one guy? Maybe we should go with Kelly out of Indy. Do we really want to pay all that money for center? It's time to stop being cheap. We just sucked it up. We got the best guy on the market, and that's Dalman. It's never going to be perfect. He's not the best center in the league, but he's certainly really, really good. We followed the same pattern as we followed when we got Ben Johnson to be our head coach. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And if you kind of look at this progression, if you doubt that Dalman's a good signing, we're going from Sam Mustipher to Coleman Shelton, and now we have Drew Dalman. It's game, set, match at the center position. We are solid. And now we're looking at, we added a stud defensive end with Io, a really good 3-tech with Grady Jarrett. I mean, just a fantastic free agency run so far, and it's not even over yet. So kind of Bleacher Report's profile on Drew Dalman. I think it's really interesting. I want to call this up here because when the Bears were seen as serious suitors for Drew Dalman, this is what Bleacher Report had to say about him. Getting Trey Smith would have been nice, but I've quietly believed Drew Dalman was a better fit and a more significant need for the Bears. There's been a revolving door of mediocrity and disappointment. We know that, right? Of mediocrity and disappointment at center since Cody Whitehair. He had a Pro Bowl season in 2018. One way to stop the door from spinning, that's to sign a center who knows his way around the interior of the offensive line. He's established himself as one of the better players at the position. Sure, signing someone like Dalman will put a dent in the Bears' salary cap situation, but the juice could be worth the squeeze. I use that phrase a lot. If it means fortifying the offensive line. I mean, we're looking at him coming off an injury-shortened year, but when he was on the field, once again, a 78.8 overall PFF grade, 4th best among 64 qualifying centers, and he's 26 years old. Just a nice get. And also the money is guaranteed, $28 million of it. So we're essentially committed to him for 2 solid years at $14 per. And that's actually way below the market that a lot of people were thinking. A lot of pundits were talking before free agency that if the Bears could get him for $13 or $14 million a year, that it should be considered a steal. I agree. Once again, we did not reset the market in this situation, and that's a really good thing to do. That's a further pattern that Ryan Poles is employing with free agency. And we hear what Ben Johnson says about wanting a veteran in the middle of the line, and it makes sense why Chicago targeted Dalman. They were true to his word, and Dalman is going to join guards Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson along the interior of a completely revamped Chicago Bears offensive line, and I hope it holds up well. I'm going to be covering these other signings still today. I'm going to release more videos. Please watch them, covering some of these other moves that the Chicago Bears did, but hey, I don't know how you cut this, that this isn't a victory. And the Bears are setting themselves up that during the draft, we can 100% take the best player available because we have fit these needs in free agency already without resetting the market on a single player. I think it's a masterclass. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. Bear down, and hey, This is a great day to be excited. We'll talk soon.